who takes half your coin is just as much a thief as one who takes it all. Remember the...
Meave's mount reared and flattened its ears, spooked for no visible cause. Trusting in animal instinct, Meave jumped to the ground and felt tremors under her boots. At first they were faint, barely palpable, then grew stronger and stronger.
What's going on?
Meave cried.
Why does the earth tremble?
Before anyone could respond, a scout from the forward guard let out a terrified cry. A moment later, snap trees crashed down around them, and out of the woods came a 30-foot-tall stone giant.
Gods,
whispered the queen.
What is that?
A golem.
Isbel whispered back.
Favorite servant of Nilfgaardian mages.
As if to confirm his words, soldiers marched out from behind the giant, clad in heavy black plate. Their leader, however, wore but a light tunic, and his hands glowed with a strange blue light.
Githen Quan and Lyrian!
He shouted, giving the order to attack.
Gloire and Ard Feyen! I live to serve. Adart!
Mom, break the mage's spell, and the golem's power will wane to naught.
Catch!
Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth?
The mage! Kill the mage!
This harvest will be reaping black-clad heads.
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
There's been a mistake. I'm no mage.
The unworthy shall be punished.
Raising her shield against the whistling rain of arrows, Meave fought her way towards the Nilfgaardian mage leading the attack. At close quarters, magic arcana would stand no chance against a well-swung blade. Niamh roared, delivering a powerful blow. Her blade severed the mage's aorta, and drowning in his own blood, he fell to the ground. He choked out by way of last words. Then the blue aura coming from his hands flickered out, and the stone giant thundered to the ground in pieces. When the dust of the battle had settled, the Queen ordered her men to search the Nilfgaardian camp. In the mage's tent, they found a rare instrument used to communicate at a distance, a megascope. The crystals encrusted in its brass frame were still warm, meaning it had recently been used to conduct a conversation. The burning question was, with whom?
Isbel!
Yelled the Queen. The mage dutifully came closer.
This device. Could you activate it?
Yes, Your Grace. But are you sure?
I am. Get to work.
Isbel nodded, then began calibrating the magic device. Finally, something clicked. A light flickered on, and before Niamh's eyes appeared the outline of a Nilfgaardian general.
Speak common, please. I know not your tongue.
Oh, forgive me. I thought I spoke to someone else. Good to see you in good health, Queen. Or ex-Queen, I suppose, would be the more apt title.
Instead of fretting so much over my title, give yours.
Of course. Where are my manners? Duke Adel Ebdahi, Grand Chancellor, Commander of Army Group East. I believe you've heard of me.
No. This is the first time I hear the name Adel. Adel what?
I see you've a poor mind for names. Perhaps you should ask your son. He knows me very well.
You whoreson.
Oh, what was I thinking? You're not on good terms, are you? Such a sad story. But don't worry, it'll soon be over.
Is that a threat?
No. A simple prediction. Enough of this. Why use this megascope? What is it you want?
I wanted to see the man who's butchering Edirn. The man responsible for the deaths of thousands of women, elders and children.
Then your desire has been satisfied. It was I who gave the order to cleanse this land of unwanted elements, to prepare it for settlement, for
Unwanted elements? Those are living folk you speak of.
If you were to look at this war in historical perspective, considering the wider geopolitical context, forget it. It's impossible for you to grasp. Farewell, Your Majesty. Or rather, till next time. For there will be a next time, I assure you.
A quiet fell over the tent. The Queen stepped outside, squinted her eyes against the glare of the burning fields, and swore to herself that when she did see Grand Chancellor Adel Ebdahi again, he would be a whole head shorter.
All destroyed. As if nobody lifted a finger against the Nilfgaardians.
King surely ordered up.
My spirit's willing and how, but these damn boots are killing me. There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die. down!
The chase is on!
Ha!
In retreat!
Hey!
Aye. Should have listened to me, old lady.
101, 102, 103. There's been a mistake. I'm no mage.
Egreto dum anime est, fe est.
Wait, you're serious?
Her Majesty knows what she's doing. Yes.
My prescription, a bit of bloodletting.
Destillat Zweifel!
Elherzer.
Yes?
Rayla, how are you holding up?
Not certain I understand what you mean.
All Edern is aflame. Nilfgaard's banners fly over its cities. Don't tell me you're not troubled.
Of course I'm troubled. I stationed at Rosberg for 5 years. Knew all on the crew there by name. But that's war. That's its nature. No sense bemoaning it.
I see. Just know if ever you wish to talk.
I won't, but I do appreciate your concern, ma'am.
I must go.
Your Majesty, I've been meaning to thank you for allowing me to join your ranks.
Certainly, Xavier. I welcome all foes of Nilfgaard to march beneath my banner. But what did the field surgeon say? Have you not resumed work too soon?
I've strength enough to wield a hammer, though my scars still burn, and fiercely so. My lady, I've seen folk turn and frown at the very sight of me. If my appearance disgusts you, I can...
Nonsense. The Nilfgaardians, not you, should be ashamed. You've no reason to hide, no reason to cower.
Thank you, my lady. It means a great deal to hear that.
You've long served in King Demoven's army, haven't you?
Yes, Your Grace.
Why enlist at all? What prompted you to do so?
The king needed engineers.
Not terribly talkative, are you?
I can build any bridge, any ballista, but to talk, well, it hurts to talk.
I see. Well, do not worry. I prefer deeds to words, in myself and others. Other matters await my attention. We shall speak later.
As you wish, my lady.
Mom, it's good you're here. We ought to speak.
Yes? Concerning what?
I've spent time with your troops, dressing their wounds, treating them. They respect you greatly, would follow you into any fire, any flood.
Happy to hear it. They're good folk, one and all.
Yes, precisely. In fact, too good to die in a senseless war.
Not certain I understand.
The Imperial army's enormous. Just how enormous we know, both. Had you all the Norse kings at your side, victory would still be unsure. Yet you fight alone. Know well you cannot rely on them.
Agreed. Nilfgaard's far better equipped and greatly outnumbers us. Yet, though try, they cannot be everywhere at once. They've stretched their forces thin, too thin. An error I aim to exploit.
You may be right. I hope you are. The lives of those you lead depend on it. You're proud, persistent, and sure of yourself. Just as I was at your age. It may work in your favor. Only time can tell. Meanwhile, how might I help?
You're no village witch, no healer. That much is clear. But nor do you look like our northern sorceresses.
I use no glamour, true. I've come to feel a body must age, and honestly so, as nature intended, as is the order of things.
You sound much like a druid drivelling on about balance, harmony, the good that is rot.
Rather poor, their reputation, druids. Yet they're in the right in this regard, I believe. Defy nature's laws, and nothing good can come of it.
Is that also why you wear no shoes?
Ha! No. I simply like to feel the grass between my toes, the sand, the mud. You must try it sometime.
I shall think on it. Thank you, Isbel. Duty calls. I must go.
Of course.
Yes, Your Grace?
It's time I...
they are, easier they are to target. Thing about slings, they hide well.
Don't you worry yourself, Big Grace. We'll get her done in no time.
Hey?
One boat's all I need. Give me a target. Our ballista, your command. I'm a monster. One boat, all I need. Give me a target.
Meave's Lyrians were traversing a wood when they heard the loud, drawn-out blast of a horn.
One of our scouts?
The Queen asked, clearly perplexed. She turned in her saddle to face Reynard, who shook his head.
Strange. Gascon, appoint a few of your strays. Ones who know how to blend in. Have them sniff out who blows that horn. And why.
The scouts returned a short while later with their report. Soldiers had pitched camp in a nearby meadow. They wore Edirnian uniforms, cut by sashes bearing a golden sun. They addressed their leader as Fulberson.
Know the name,
Rayla said.
Fulberson went over to the enemy first day of the war, took his whole division with him. Your Grace, a chance like this won't come again. Let's teach the traitors a lesson.
We must send a strong signal, one all the North will hear. From the Yaruga to the Dragon Mountains,
announced the Queen.
Whoever collaborates with the invader shall pay with his head. Prepare to attack.
Rayla nodded, clearly pleased. The Lyrians surrounded the meadow marked by their scouts. Moments later, a flaming arrow pierced the sky, giving the signal to attack.
is that? Queen Maeve! To arms!
Scrubbing duty again? Oh, gods.
Hey?
Law and Katza! Should have listened to me old lady.
God!
This man has suffered much.
You mad? Don't shake that! Retreat!
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
New orders? No? Ah.
It's not too late to walk away.
Must be an important lesson in this. But what?
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
There's been a mistake. I'm no mage.
To thee, Nigloire! Alba! Hey, Gloire! Mercy, your grace. We surrender.
The traitors, perhaps used to fighting unsuspecting foes, stood no chance against the determined Lyrian attack. At its conclusion, Maeve personally knocked Fulberson off his mount, then tore off his visor. The face she saw evoked more sympathy than hatred. Fulberson was an old, sickly man, his skin pale and blemished. With great difficulty, he pulled himself up on his knees, then extended a shaky hand in pleading.
Your Grace, have mercy. The Nilfgaardians forced me to treason. They threatened torture.
Maeve felt her soldiers' eyes on her. They awaited her decision. How would she treat this traitor? Would she really execute him as a warning to others?
You needn't fear torture anymore,
said Maeve.
Your execution shall be quick.
Fulberson made a last grasp at the Queen's foot, pleading for mercy. But she brushed him off with a firm gesture. Soon thereafter, he swung from a tree, hanged by the very black sash he draped over his armor. Coming across a small brook, Meve ordered her soldiers to replenish their water supplies. When they returned, it was with empty water skins and troubled expressions.
Milady, the water tastes of blood. Not like black pudding, mind, but rancid, filthy.
Meve had no choice but to march on. She gulped dryly and wondered how to interpret this strange event. An omen, perhaps? A warning from the gods? She soon learned the truth. Following the brook upstream, the Lyrians arrived at a small pool. Bobbing on its surface were dozens of corpses. A young woman caught Meve's gaze, her long hair spread delicately atop the water, wide-open eyes reflecting the sky, a fine nose peppered with freckles, and a gaping wound slashed across her throat.
We shall stop here,
the Queen said calmly,
and give these souls a proper burial. Reynard, send scouts. Tell them they are not to return until they ascertain what has happened here.
When the scouts returned a while later, they brought with them a barefooted peasant they'd found hiding in the woods. They claimed he hailed from Horton, a nearby village, the village whose inhabitants had been murdered.
Them black-clad wretches stormed the village, milady. The devil Thronebreaker at the fore. Rounded us right up, took us down to the lake. Whole village, mind. Then chop, chop, and splosh, splosh. 'Twas I alone gave him the slip.
Meve listened to the man's tale, then placed him in the care of her medics and ordered the Lyrians to break camp. She rode at the head of their column, Reynard at her side, her knuckles gripped white on the reins.
Do we know where this Thronebreaker is stationed?
Our riders report he's pitched camp to the east.
Then let's pay him a call.
They killed all, like Rosberg. My lady, please, make them pay.
Milka, Bezrad, Kristan, all killed. Souls snuffed out to the very last.
The Lyrians had no trouble finding Vrigev's camp. It was the size of a sprawling town. Meve stopped her caravan and called for a council. The first to speak was Reynard.
Seems our scouts were both right and wrong, Your Grace. They did pinpoint General Thronebreaker, the Butcher of Horton. Unfortunately, they underestimated his detachment. It is much larger and better armed than our own.
That changes nothing,
Meve said, forestalling all protest.
If I leave him unpunished, without so much as an attempt, I shall never be able to face my reflection again. We must attack.
Reynard bowed and passed the order to the Lyrians. Later that same day, Meve and Vrigev's forces stood face to face on the field of battle.
Thronebreaker! It's time you pay for your crimes!
Ow! You are dogs!
There! Thronebreaker! I see him! We've got to catch him!
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
Dead Fang!
The Wholesons.
Yeah, yeah!
thing about slings, they hide well.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
Wait, you're serious?
God's blessed it. My breastplate chafes.
The Lyrians won the day, despite their foe's distinct advantage. Historians later ascribed Maeve's victory to her light troops' superior maneuverability in the difficult terrain compared to the plate-clad Nilfgaardians. But if you ask me, that wasn't it at all. A storm of fury had been quietly gathering in the Lyrians' hearts, a squall of rage stoked by the Nilfgaardians' unparalleled cruelty towards the conquered. And no one embodied this barbarism more perfectly than General Friggev. Maeve's men were ready to sacrifice anything to see him punished. They dragged the defeated general before Maeve. The Queen wished to learn why he'd ordered the execution of an entire village, how the Nilfgaardians could possibly justify such a crime.
2 weeks prior, I'd sent a detachment to Horton to procure feed. Captain Gaynor commanded it. While he was verifying their grain stores, they barricaded him in the barn and put it to flame.
The Queen listened to the general's story, her face a mask, betraying nothing.
Murdered. One man was murdered.
Friggev raised his eyes to Maeve's. The Queen was surprised to see them wet with tears.
Yes, my lady. My son.
The general's simple words bore pain, grief, and a thirst for revenge that would never be slaked. The Queen had to decide what to do with Friggev. No doubt the general had earned punishment, the harshest possible at that. Yet, such a weighty personage could fetch a hefty ransom, and Maeve's army desperately needed the gold. In the end, the Queen decided to return the general for a golden ransom. Whether she chose the path out of mercy, moved by the Nilfgaardians' tears, or out of pure material calculation, sensing an excellent chance to replenish her war chest, it is hard to say. One thing is certain. Her men were crestfallen at the news. They had challenged Friggev's greatly superior forces in the name of justice, not gold. The Lyrians stood within 5 miles of Aldersburg, when the road, which until now they had travelled alone, suddenly filled with all manner of folk. Peasants, merchants, and wounded fighters in tattered uniforms. They trod solemnly in the opposite direction, their worldly possessions on their backs.
Aldersburg's fallen, my lady,
sighed one of the refugees with a forlorn shrug.
Outer walls breached. King still defends the old town, but black-clad goats are winning. You'd best turn back before it's too late.
We've nowhere to turn to, good man,
the Queen said, then spurred on her horse.
Follow me!
The Queen galloped so fast the wind squeezed tears from her eyes, the Lyrian cavalry close at her heels. Hoofbeats thundered down the high road, and the crowd of refugees parted, making a path for the charging riders.
Faster! Faster!
Soon they set eye on Aldersburg. A red glow filled the horizon, the wind carried screams and the clanking of steel. The once proud city was quickly turning to dust in the Nilfgaardian sun. The Nilfgaardian force moved to block the Lyrians' way. Without slowing, Meve cut down the infantryman who tried to drag her from her saddle with a hook. Her head in a winged helmet fell to the ground, leaving a bloody track.
Lyrians! Attack!
Meve shouted.
Take no prisoners! Bloody hell! You shan't stop me. Not now!
My spirit's willing and how, but these damn boots are killing me. There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die.
The chase is on!
Catch!
Excellent, Seifel!
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
The Lyrians managed to scatter the Nilfgaardian battalion, one of many besieging Aldersburg. Their scouts brought before the Queen a prisoner freed from the invaders. Meve inquired about the situation in the city.
Turn the right slaughterhouse in us. The Imperials, they... King had the city cleared, my lady, but didn't budge himself. Holding out with his guard in Old Town, walls still standing there. Said he'd fight to the end. Come with me.
Meve weighed her options. The situation looked dire. Demavend, to whom she had come for help, needed help himself. Nilfgaard enjoyed an overwhelming advantage. The small Lyrian detachment stood no chance of breaking the siege. But to retreat, surrender, that was not something Meve did.
The Nilfgaardians do not expect a relief force. Rayla, You know Aldersburg. Can you lead us by side streets to the Old Town, that we may avoid the largest part of the Nilfgaardian army?
The warrior nodded, and without waiting for any further orders, strode out in front of the party. Reynard followed her with his gaze, clearly troubled.
And what then, Your Majesty? We burst into the lion's den and...
And we pray the lion chokes. Follow me!
The walls crushed and breached. The lower town in flames. Hundreds, thousands wounded. Thousands more fled.
Gods have mercy. And demons take it all!
Taking advantage of the confusion, Meve maneuvered her troops to the very walls of the Old Town. Spying Lyrian banners, the defenders suspected a trap. But when they noticed Black Railer among them, they immediately lowered the drawbridge. The Old Town was a maze of brothels and shady taverns. In normal times, students and other pleasure seekers prowled its dark alleys. Now, tired soldiers slumped in every corner, though the Lyrians' arrival clearly buoyed their spirits. The Fraternal Realm's warriors clasped each other's hands and swapped tales. Even Edirn's king, Demavend, made no secret of his pleasure at seeing these unexpected arrivals.
Meve, of all the besieged cities in all the world, you walk into mine. Come to the rescue, have you?
To be quite frank, I've come to be rescued.
Oh, yes. I've heard much of the events in Lyria. Disgraceful. Such betrayal. However, as you might have noticed, things are none too rosy here either.
Yes, that is hard to miss.
I thought we'd trade blows with the Blackclads. That it would be an even match. 2 weeks. That sufficed to annihilate the army I'd spent my whole lifetime building.
Your Majesty, I cannot say what fate will bring, if we shall reach this war's end alive. But I wish to say now that I admire you.
Oh?
You evacuated the city, yet refused to evacuate yourself. You fight to the bitter end, like a hero.
But of course, the king must lead by example after all. Especially in war.
Reynard, that rumbling, you hear it? Studded boots on cobblestones. The Nilfgaardians. Prepare the men for battle.
Yes, Your Grace.
So, now that we're alone, what's really going on?
What? Did you not hear? I'm defending my capital, like a hero.
Demavend, please, don't feed me that drivel. We've known each other far too long. Why did you stay?
Meve. As meddling as you are beautiful. See that building? That one there.
The brothel? The Crimson Bodice?
Precisely. So, promise not to laugh. I'm a patron. A loyal one, in fact. One of the girls there, Demeretta. She's marvelous. Makes me feel young again.
A young fool, you mean? Demavend, there's a war on, and...
Allow me to finish. Demeretta became, well, with child. Exactly 9 months ago. Understand now?
She's entered confinement. Having contractions.
Since yesterday. You see, I cannot leave her like this. Can't have her moved. I must stay put until she gives birth.
And then what? Pray tell. Invite all of Nilfgaard to the christening?
No, my dear. There is a hidden tunnel deep beneath the city, leading far beyond its walls. Once the midwives cut the cord, we flee.
I understand. For one's child, one would do anything.
Odd, isn't it? Amusing, even. Midst of a war, my kingdom burning all around. And I'm happy.
In that case, I can only hope your offspring, unlike mine, will continue to.
Your Majesties, the Nilfgaardians are attacking.
Meve, we must hold out. A few hours, that's all.
I'll do what I can. Defend the king! We must stop them!
With their forces combined, the rulers managed to hold the old town long enough for Demereta to bear the king's offspring, a healthy, hardy boy. When the midwife slapped the infant, his scream carried above the roar of battle. Soon afterwards, the defenders abandoned the walls and left the city through a secret tunnel. The Nilfgaardians, furious that not one but two northern sovereigns were among the escapees, razed Aldersburg to the ground.
Thank you. If not for you, the devils would have devoured us.
I should say it was nothing. But the truth is, I need your aid.
Aid? But you see, my army is no more. I must pull back, regroup.
Pull back? Where to? The golden sun flies over your entire realm.
To Redania, to take shelter at the court there.
And then? Will you sit and watch the fool juggle apples as Nilfgaard parcels all Edirn out to its settlers?
Meve, one must know when to fold and when to double down. Nilfgaard has stretched the front. Winter will soon be here. Let the costs claw away at them. A year, two, then we strike. And we shall prove the Empire is a colossus with feet of clay.
You're a coward, Demavend. A common coward.
Perhaps so. But mind, courage alone wins no wars. Soldiers do. And Nilfgaard simply has many more.
I can't live like that.
So what shall you do instead?
Fight on. Until I win. Or the black-clad curs tear me apart.
Gods, such pity I have for your husband. The poor man must have had a rough go of it.
He seemed content with his life while it lasted. Yet I'm serious, Demavend, in my request. You truly won't aid me. Provide nothing at all.
I will tell my men whoever so wishes can join your party and fight on. But please, curb your excitement. They are tired. Few will choose the path of greater resistance. But, are you familiar with the saying, when at wit's end, a dwarf's your friend?
Yes, it and many others. Yet as much as I appreciate folk wisdom, I prefer facts to philosophy at the moment. Preferably facts relevant to my situation.
How about this? Mahakam is but a week's ride from here. And there you'll find thousands of dwarves armed to the teeth. Enough to turn the tides of this war, I venture.
Yes, they could. If not for another fact. That the dwarves have always been famously indifferent to strife between humans. They'll never come to my aid. Bah! I doubt they'll even let me into their land.
Unless you show them this. The leaden ring. A token of amity given to me by the Elder-in-Chief. That's not to say they'll welcome you with open arms. But they will hear you out. And that is something.
Dwarven infantry I'd make good use of. I shall do—
Good. And to ease your journey somewhat, I'll give you as your guide the best man, or rather woman, for the task. Rayla!
Yes, Your Grace?
You've been to Mahakam with me many times. You know their paths. Take Queen Meve and her party there.
'Twould be an honor, Your Majesty.
I'll send messengers ahead that the dwarfs may expect your arrival. Until then, good luck, Meve. And may we one day waltz upon the grave of our foe, Emperor Emir.
May it be so. Just as long as I get to lead.
Ah, of course. Farewell, Queen.
Meve left Aldersburg in ill spirits. Rather than provide the help she had hoped for, Demavend had merely sent her on to Mahakam. Her way west was lit first by the glow of a burning city, then by the smoldering remains of charred villages by the roadside. It was clear the war against Nilfgaard had taken a bitter turn. Each stranger was now treated as an enemy, and the customarily hospitable Aedirnians slammed their doors at anyone's approach. The party's morale was somber as well, and did not even improve with the first sight of mountains looming in the distance. Wandering among the ashes, Meve entered the dwarves' domain. Along perilously steep paths, Black Rayla led the Queen and company towards Mahakam, the dwarven homeland. There, among snow-capped peaks, someone awaited.
Rayla, you brought strangers.
Gabor, I present to you Meve, Queen of Lyria and Rivia.
Ah, a queen. Crivens. Well then,
A large shadow swept across the sky. The dwarf swallowed the rest of his greeting as all raised their gazes to see a dragon soar swiftly toward Mount Carbon.
Keltalus, dinna be afeard, he isn't a threat to us.
The dwarf had broken the silence gently, he himself quite familiar with this altogether unusual sight.
And now, sit yourselves down afore the pottage grows cold.
Aye, oh, but... Flew. Drake?
Stone shrivelling marvel, innit? Makes you almost sad the lizards are dying out.
Should you not worry more about the fate of your brethren? That creature will soon have all Mahakam aflame.
Ha! Keltalus? No! He's lived here centuries. Harmless for the most part. Now, your grace, a taste?
No, none. Though your offer of repast I value, good sir.
Oh, no need of that. Gabor, please. Enchanted to make your acquaintance.
Gabor here's a true local notable, from one of Mahakam's leading clans, the Zigrins. But then he wouldn't be our guide if he wasn't. A guide for all important guests.
A pleasure. And as I said, I thank you for your hospitality, but I've no time to feast now. I must speak to your ruler at once.
Don't mean no offence, but Elder-in-Chief Bruverhoog's a recluse of sorts, as humans go. Didn't even meet the ones that wear crowns. But I suppose I could, meaning if you drafted a letter...
Her Majesty's got Demavend's signet, given willingly.
Ah. Well, that's a sheep of a different sort. We didn't let many human folk into Mahakam, and for good reason. So those who we let come through the second gate get blindfolded. Just after they've surrendered their arms at the first. But you've the leaden ring, given one of your kind to confirm trust and amity. So, we're certain we can treat you as one of our own. Elder-in-Chief's in the pass visiting, looking to his flock. Come on. No reason you two shouldn't jabber right quick.
Though the Lyrian infantry rose half an ell taller than the dwarf, he moved with remarkable ease through the waist-high snow, while those behind him slipped and stumbled on the ice-slick rocks. Meve and Rayla trailed the party, so they might speak in private.
The ring. However did Demavend come to possess it?
Elder-in-Chief himself gave it to him, years ago. A decade, perhaps more.
Why?
Oh, you must have heard the tale, Your Grace. You see, formerly, Foltest of Temeria's sovereign of Mahakam, he believed it was his right to tax any Leand lands, so he sent collectors. Well, the dwarves felt stripped, so they stripped the collectors down to their natural state. Put them in beer barrels, they then rolled down the mountainside.
Ah, my. That incited Foltest's ire, I'm sure.
Indeed. Ember hot ire. A punitive expedition was assembled immediately. We're about to set off when Demavend managed to dissuade Foltest. Elder-in-Chief gave him the ring in thanks.
I see it all now. Prevented Mahakam's slaughter, Demavend did.
Your Majesty, Demavend prevented a slaughter, true. But Foltest's in the Temerians, not the dwarves. Mahakam and fortifications. Well, you'll soon see. No human will take them, ever.
The Elder's gratitude, then? Not certain I know where it came from.
Had the dwarves crushed the Temerians? No, when they had done so, what would have happened? Why, retaliation against all non-humans in Temeria. Bruver knew this, so in fact, Demavend saved them.
Exceptionally provident, the Elder-in-Chief.
And shrewd as a swarm of snakes. So when you speak, beware his hiss, and weigh your every word.
Non-humans you despised immensely, I believed.
They don't bother me a bit. Long as they stay in their lands, seek fortune nowhere else. I detest only those who infest our cities, humbly insist on belonging to our guilds, holding office in our institutions, armies.
Yet some find a place for themselves, blend in marvellously.
It's never lasting. They're different, odd. Strain's inevitable. And then they'll always stab a human in the back.
Rayla, your aid proved an unexpected bounty.
Your Grace, to fight arm in arm with one so bold as you is an honour from which I'll not readily resign. I was to lead you to Mahakam, King Demavend's order. As to my duties afterwards, I received no instructions. So until a sealed scroll containing such arrives, I will serve your Grace under her command.
I'm content, Rayla. The times are such that no aid can I dismiss, and yours in particular.
I'm humbled, your Grace.
Let us move on. I've grown amply curious of this Elder-in-Chief, this Bruver Hoog.
Your Grace, I've a message, for your eyes only.
Yes?
I must go.
A hearty Mahakam welcome to you.
What an honour! Even the arbalists salute us with cocked quarrels.
Oh, that well. An ounce of prevention saves a slag heap of trouble. None too shabby as views go, eh?
Were it not for the howling wind, I'd make a sketch.
Meve rode slowly, her surroundings interesting to her, her ears keen to take in the cacophony of sound. Its tower at the Queen's brow rose in a silent inquiry.
All right. You don't quite ken the context. Each spring, with the melting of the snows, a good bit of that filth comes out the ground. That's when Bruver Hoog summons all dwarves for spring cleaning. We cut down as much of the filth as we can, and that means relative calm the rest of the year.
Out of the corner of her eye, Meve noted a dark shape darting between rock formations. Calmly, she drew her sword and brandished it a time or two to warm up her stiff arms.
Seems it is our lot to assist you with this cleaning. Lyrians, arms at the ready. Prepare to fight!
Stop standing around like corns on a toe! Get to work!
Should have listened to me, old lady.
Watch out! It's rolling our way!
You mad? Don't shake that!
So much anger and suffering. For what?
Your Grace, be careful.
This could hurt.
Discipline shall bring us victory!
Nothing personal, I assure you.
As the wails of speared Shaelmars died down, the crowd of Mahakaman infantry parted. A dwarf stepped forth, grey as a snow fox, wrinkled as a prune. He walked with difficulty, supporting himself on a battle-axe, its two heads dripping blood.
This would be our Elder-in-Chief, Bruvor Hoog.
And who might your guests be, Gabor?
Meve, Queen of Lyria and Rivia, and her associates in court.
My regards, Elder. I come...
You come for something. Coin's my first wager. Fighting bodies my second. Well, what is it you want? I'm on in the years, aye, but I'm not gone dotty. Tja, you menfolk. You got to fall on hard times to remember us dwarves.
I've come with a design in mind, I cannot deny. But hear me out and you shall see.
She's armed! Gabor! Why the devil did you let her in here like that? And without a sack o'er her head!
She has the leaden ring, Elder.
A gift from a king.
From Demavend, lassie, I ken that already. Trust a man, give him something of value, and he'll go and give it away as easy as a street whore gives away nubs. It's a good thing he didn't pawn it. Sons of humans.
I've travelled far to see you. Hear me out, I beg you.
Let it be my loss. Go on, haver away.
Nilfgaard has overrun my realms. It has overrun Edirn. The Blackclads are at the foot of Mahakam. They will seek to overrun your land sooner or later as well. We must act. We must react together, while there is still time.
Time? What do you ken of time, lass? Got how many summers to you? 40, maybe? Had you grown up amongst dwarven folk, at your age you'd be learning to crochet dolls. No more than that. I've seen 400 summers come and go. And I've been elder for 200. And you know what I've learned in that time? That meddling in your idiot scraps doesn't ever bring any good. Now, on a normal day, I'd have you all thrown clear out of this land I love. But you've the leaden ring, and that grants you the right to hospitality. And here, in Mahakam, laws and rights are sacred. You may stay in the pass long as you wish. Young Zigrin'll serve as your guide. And once you've tired of the mountains, well, you ken the way down into the valleys. I bid you farewell.
My Lord Elder, with all due respect, we came to your aid. We smote the beasts with you, yet...
And who the demons is this one?
Count Reynard Odo.
Ho-ho! Odo, Lodo, Bodo! Now, you listen and listen well. We didn't ask for aid, and you know why? 'Cause I've my dignity. Not like some. Mates and wenches! Spring cleaning's done, beast culling's over. Mount Carbon beckons us home. Follow me!
Your Grace, be not dismayed. We will find a way.
Manage we shall, true. Though damned if I know how. We have none other to whom we can turn, no other land where we can flee.
Let us convene in council, Your Grace. Consider together what's to be done. We've yet Redania, Temeria...
Your Grace, might I draw you aside a wee moment? For a jabber?
Reynard, please excuse me. Well? What is it you want?
I ken the Elder-in-Chief dinna make a good first impression.
And the second? Is it any better?
To be quite frank, no. I'll try elsewise. Not all's lost, trust me. Bruver's a stubborn goat, no doubt about it, but a goat to be persuaded. And I happen to ken how.
The selfless impulse to help? I don't believe it exists. So before you describe how you aim to aid me, be kind enough to explain why you wish to do so. Unsolicited, mind you, and clearly against your elder's wishes.
A query of my own to answer yours. Do you ken when Bruver Hoog last strode down the mountains into your lowlands?
I know not. While King Sambuc sat on the throne?
Point of fact, never. Hoog was born here and he'll die here, like most Mahakaman dwarves. Whereas I'm a frequent visitor in your human lands. Been an emissary to royal courts, trade guilds, mummers, troops, and I've eyes. I can see all the rubbish goes on between yous. Nilfgaard's insatiable. The Blackclads'll not stop till they've put the whole continent neath their boot. From Ophir in the south to the Dragon Mountains in the north. Gods forbid they grip all the Nordlings' realms in their vice. 'Cause then we'll have their hordes all round, controlling all the trade routes, supply lines, diversions even. And then they'll control terms and prices. Ooh. We dwarves have never been on a lead, let alone a short one. So, in short, we'll all be better off with the Blackclads back across the Yaruga. And I've seen your grace. Seen you in battle. You've brawn and bite, and with the right support, you can drive them back. I ken that well.
Very well, I'm all ears. What must we do to spur Bruverhoog to aid us?
I might start with the thorn in our side that are beasts. A bigger thorn than most expect. See, in our never-ending search for gold, we dug deep, too deep, and reached abysses where monsters are born, or however they come to be. Soon as it turns a bit warmer, they crawl out to feed, and there's more every year. What you saw there, the spring cleaning, that's just light yearly upkeep. It dinna go at the source of the blight. Every spring we cull enough so we can live and trade and mine normal-like. But there are corridors in the upper valleys midst the peaks, where more lie waiting to pounce. So many, there's settlements that have done been abandoned.
I still fail to see how this relates to myself and Bruver.
Your Majesty, slay the beasts down to their last, and you'll win the hearts of the clans. All of them. And with the clans behind you, why? The Elder'll have no choice. He'll bend an ear, treat you serious. You got two sites through which beasts swarm in great numbers. There's Davor's Abyss, and an abandoned underground settlement called Burr's Rump. Destroy those, collapse the corridors, problem solved.
You colour the solution as simple and known. Why has Bruver Hoog not gone at the matter?
You must learn one thing about us dwarves of Mahakam. Customs, traditions, why, we're obsessed. Goes thrice for Bruver. The Elder deliberates weeks on end. And that's in considering if we shouldn't wear suspenders, because they might be through outside, and should thus be forbidden. We've a you're free out with. The laws dinna apply. You've a free hand in sealing the corridors from which the beasts come. Collapse them, flood them, I dinna ken, but solve the grief once and for all.
And this, 'twould suffice?
I believe it would. But find you other ways to win the heart of a clan or Bruver itself. Do so. Can he bring no harm?
All this sounds rather toilsome, yet I do favour this to losing another moon seeking out a court where we would at first be welcomed, only later to hear another rebuke. You've my gratitude, Gabor. You've shown me a way. Very well. Let us think on these beasts. See what's to be done. I've come to the conclusion your Elder-in-Chief is not fond of guests.
Fond? That's near the quarter of it. He hates them, with seething passion. But you're damned lucky.
Why's that?
Let you in, didn't he? Mahakam was cordoned off completely from the outside world for many a long year. Clans finally forced Bruver to at least let in peddlers and emissaries. Though he dragged his feet as long as he could.
Quiet, wench. You'll scare the fish off.
The dwarves are demanding a pretty sum, but their steel's worthy of any crown.
Meave noted a crowd of dwarves. They were several dozen, many holding baskets brimming with dried sausages, soft, puffy pretzels, and jugs of frothy beer.
What is this gathering?
She asked Gabor.
These folk, they're the parents of youngsters who are to return today from their Drekthag.
Gabor proceeded to explain that the Drekthag was a trek upon which the local dwarves would embark when they reached maturity. During this year-long voyage, young folk would taste of life beyond their home. Yet if they failed to return on time, they would be stripped of all rights and privileges accorded to Mahakam's natives.
See, in recent years, young folks' blood's been boiling on account of the strict laws in force here.
Gabor added.
So, we send them out. Let them taste life in the lowlands. Once they've learned for themselves what it's like to live among humans, they come back and ain't likely to complain.
Customarily, only a few dwarves ever decided to remain in the valleys for good. That year, however, was different.
Deadline's the Mora, and 40 Drekthagers still haven't returned.
Their parents now worried if some misfortune had not befallen them. The Mahakaman Guard had sent out patrols to the near reaches of the valleys. They returned not having seen anything distressing, while the humans living at the foot of the massif had been largely unwilling to talk. The guard captain, a dwarf with a fiery red beard, removed his helmet, wiped the sweat from his brow, and addressed Meave.
Your Majesty, we need to find our youth. Perhaps you'd be willing to go out and search. Human folk are more like to tell you if they saw anything out of the ordinary of late. Naturally, there'd be something in it for you too.
One could say I myself have lost a son.
Meave gripped the captain's hand firmly.
And I know well the pain that comes. I shall do all in my might to spare you at least that.
Meave set off, the hopeful gazes of the dwarven parents bidding her farewell. The Queen sent a scout ahead. Sometime later, she heard his horn. 3 blasts. 2 short, 1 long.
An ambush!
Meave expected to combat beasts or robbers. Yet upon her force descended warriors with squirrel tails attached to their helms. Scoia'tael.
Scoia'tael! Don't let them escape!
As soon as the battle had come to an end, the prisoners were brought before the Queen. All, without exception, were dwarves, and all looked to be youthful dwarves.
Mystery solved,
muttered Meave. In fact, these were the missing Drekthagers. Instead of returning home, they had enlisted with guerrillas fighting for non-human rights. But what had prompted so drastic a decision?
I was impatient. Wanted badly to turn 50. I couldn't wait to see human cities. Vitsima, Tretogor, Novigrad,
said one of the dwarven prisoners while pressing a bandage to a bleeding wound.
And you know the welcome that awaited me there. I was spit upon and called names. I saw ghettos, massacres. And how was I to go back to the mines after that? We must fight while we still can. Before the humans come to cut us down. We must tell the rest of ours the same. Pull all Mahakam into the fight!
Meave's soldiers stood waiting for her to protest, to accuse the dwarf of lying. But the Queen could not pretend she did not understand why the dwarf had taken up arms. Without entering into a discussion, she ordered the prisoners taken to be tried and judged by their kin and elders. Along her way, Meave heard cries. She rushed to see what the ruckus was about. Upon seeing Black Rayla spattered with blood, she expected the worst. Reynard could only confirm the Queen's fears.
She entered the wagon unnoticed. The wagon carrying the prisoners. She then cut their throats, one by one.
40 dwarves? Alone?
They were shackled. They could not defend themselves.
Rayla had nothing to say in her defense. In point of fact, she exuded pride.
Mahakam had been free of Scoia'tael, till now. We'd have done all a questionable favour by bringing back a wagon full of enraged youth wearing squirrel tails. They'd have posed as martyrs for a just cause. They'd have shown off their scars and persuaded the clans to make war on humans. All that deserved to be nipped in the bud.
Meve could see the blood rushing to Reynard's head. When he finally spoke, it was clear he was holding the reins of his emotions, preventing himself from exploding with some difficulty.
Your Grace, we must banish her, drive her off. This was in no way ordinary insubordination. This was a grave crime.
Your Majesty, you know I rarely meddle in your affairs,
said Isbel.
Yet for this, I cannot remain silent. This woman must go.
Rayla, 'tis a fine line that separates a soldier, a warrior, from one who commits murder,
said Meve.
That line you crossed today. You are to leave my ranks immediately, and never do I wish to see you again.
Rayla said nothing. She merely bowed in an excessively courtly manner, then moved off down the slope. Yet even once she disappeared, a clear red trail remained in the snow where she had passed. A trail of dwarven blood that had dripped from her armor. The Lyrians remained silent throughout their return. Upon spying their downcast eyes and somber means, the dwarves awaiting the return of their offspring dispersed to their homes, leaving baskets full of treats in the snow. No one asked any questions of Meve. Luckily so, as the Queen would not have known how to answer.
Didn't he find nothing? Not a trace. What could have happened? Didn't he find nothing?
The Queen noted a building with unusually lavish ornamentation, including shining bronze roof tiles and glistening rock crystal window panes. An important clan dwelled there, Gabor explained. The Breckenrigs.
Could you introduce me?
Meve asked.
Perhaps I can convince them to intercede with Bruver on my behalf.
The clan head, Ivar, invited Meve to an exquisite feast. But when she broached the subject of the war raging just outside Mahakam's borders, the dwarf changed the subject at once. Looking around the interior, Meve quickly understood why. The walls were ordained with Nilfgaardian tapestries and rugs. Gifts from friendly Imperial envoys, no doubt. Meve prepared to leave, convinced she had wasted her time, when someone clasped her shoulder and pulled her into a darkened room. Her kidnapper turned out to be a young dwarf. Female, it seemed, dressed in her nightshirt. She introduced herself as Ivar's daughter, Eudora Breckenrigs, and openly admitted she had eavesdropped on Meve's dinner conversation.
Listen, me dad's stubborner than an old goat, but I'll convince him to help ye. For a wee favour, that is.
Mm-hmm. What?
I want you to steal something from the clan archive. Historiae Mahakamorum, 'tis called. See, me dad won't let me betroth me sweetekin Zoltan. Says the codex forbids marrying a dwarf who's left the mountains. But there's precedent. Just such a case described in that document. If I can show it to Da, he'll have to change his mind.
Meve felt sympathy for Eudora and wanted to help her. especially considering the favor Eudora could do her in return. But she fully realized if her attempt to break into the archive ended badly, it would result in a tremendous scandal.
Listen, I wish all the best for you and Zeltan.
Zoltan.
Eudora corrected.
Yes, right. Zoltan. In any case, it's too risky. I've much to gain from the support of your clan, but if the mission ended in failure, I'd lose even more.
Eudora shrugged and returned.
Bonny homes, eh? Just slightly different from those straw-covered kludges of yours.
Ah, you thundering dope! I told you to hold your horses or you'll shake the hitch loose.
Oh, now you're a bleeding expert, are you? You overloaded the damn cart, that's why it's busted.
A wagon lay strewn across the middle of the road. Behind it stood others, some loaded with gold, jewels, and other valuables, others groaning under barrels of pickled meat. Each dwarf had his own theory about how the accident had come about, and thundered it out to all and sundry, peppered with choice invectives.
An odd caravan,
Meave said.
They don't look like merchants.
Nah, they ain't,
Gabor answered.
Dwarves of the Ferns clan, carrying gifts for the Drake. Remember Keltilis? When he took roost here, Fernses fought him for near a century. Then the dragon got weary of fighting and they realised he weren't going nowheres, so they cut a deal. He didn't bother them. They give him what he needs.
Well, well. And these offerings they send often?
Every week. Excuse me, got to separate them lads, for they tear out each other's beards. Hey there! Cool your idiot heads!
Gabor managed to douse his brethren's fiery tempers, but the wagon still lay across the road, blocking all traffic.
Queen,
said Xavier.
It is an easy repair. I have the tools, the parts. Need but your permission.
Of course. Go see what can be done.
Xavier did indeed make quick work of the problem. Within moments, the wagon was rolling smoothly down the road, good as new.
Well, shaft me, your highness,
said one of the dwarves.
Your engineer's got a pate like stewed meat, but he kens his trade, that's for certain.
I'll convey your words to him. Or at least part of them.
Me and the lads will be on our way now, but first, take this. Bit of gold by way of thanks.
Thank you,
Meave said, accepting the surprisingly heavy pouch.
In wartime, every copper counts.
The dwarf bowed in parting, shook the snow off his beard, then rejoined his... A pillar of smoke rose above the mountains, and a sooty aroma filled the air.
Fire,
Gabor said, then took a deep sniff.
Perhaps a bolt struck some barren trees?
No,
Meave said curtly.
I know that scent too well. All Edirn reeked of it. It's the smell of burning homes.
The Lyrians quickened their gait. Soon they saw a town fully aflame, and a roaring, furious dragon above it.
That's your Keltilis?
Gascon asked, shielding his eyes from the sharp glare emanating from the city.
You were right. Perfectly harmless.
Dinna ken what's got his knickers in a bunch,
the dwarf said, grabbing his axe from his belt.
Queen, we got to make haste to the rescue.
Smother your fears, Sir Dwarf,
Ake proclaimed. Without waiting for Meave's reply, he dropped his lance and galloped headlong towards the burning city.
Follow me! Slay the Viper!
Reynard!
Meave called out.
Have our men wet their cloaks for a modicum of fire protection. We move as soon as they're done. If we don't make haste, Ake will be reduced to smouldering plate.
Your Grace, they are but common soldiers. To fight a dragon...
I know. But we must help them, or at least try.
While Reynard went to pass on the order, Meave turned to Gabor.
This dragon, has it any weakness?
Fear not,
said the sombre dwarf.
Except a fondness for raw meat.
Meave nodded and swallowed dryly. Despite the cold, she felt sweat pour down. Stifling her fear, Meave gave the order to attack, and her soldiers rode into the flaming city. From up close, Keltalis looked even more terrifying. Though enormous, he moved with shocking agility, like a lizard scurrying over sand. With one swing of his paw, he snapped the necks of 3 dwarves, then bisected a 4th with a powerful bite. After that, he turned his attention to the Lyrians.
More of you!
He said, twisting his bloody maw into a horrifying smile.
God!
Behind me! Stay together!
This artist will be reaping black-clad heads.
We haven't killed the dragon. It has to be possible.
My spirit's willing and how, but these damn boots are killing me.
Ah, shite! He's raging now! Watch out!
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die.
Your Grace, we're taking losses!
Make love, not war.
The vermin's diminished, but be wary. Each blow it answers still with wrath and fury.
Watch your heads!
We'll catch them all! Your Grace, he's vulnerable. We must strike now.
That day, many Lyrians perished, either to the dragon's all-consuming fire or to its flesh-rending claws. Yet their sacrifice was not in vain. Together with the dwarves, they were able to grievously wound Keltalis, forcing him to flee. The howls of the wounded monster rang throughout the valley.
That's right, howl, you scurvy snake! Shouldn't he ever attacked us, eh? Damn fuel lizard!
Meave, that's Vavrenik, elder of the town and all the Ferences.
My regards, and condolences.
Eh, tain't so bad. If nae for ye, wouldn't there be a stone left unrubbled? To be honest, when I caught wind some human queen come to Mahakam looking for aid, I said a crocus would sprout twixt my cheeks afore I'd vote aye on that. Gonna be a fear to look in my breeches after, but changed my mind. After what I saw today, what ye did for us, you've the support and undying gratitude of all Ferences.
Thank you. Faced with a Nilfgaardian peril, that means a great deal.
Forgive me for interrupting this tear-tugging scene of interracial reconciliation, but I can't hold back no longer. Vavrenik! Double chase! What happened? Why'd Keltalis attack?
I ken as much as ye, meaning squat diddly. Just flew up, started spewing flames, half the town lit up in a flash.
Sheepshank! 300 years I've been a good neighbour.
What's done's done. Gotta think about the future. The Drake's just taking a breather. Gotta finish him off for his regained form.
Meaning we haven't much time. He heals like an alchemist's pup. And the nearest guards are miles away. He'll be up flying again before they get here.
Aye, that's what I thought. Perhaps, your Grace, you'd,
What? Jest you must.
I ken you're tired through the fight, dinna want to risk casualties, etc. But remember, the beast's sleeping on a bed of gold and rubies. All belonging by right to Bruther, of course. But if quibbling some wandered off, he'd nae notice.
I admit that does alter my calculations. Besides, the dragon was badly wounded.
Putting it featherly, blood poured out of him like a leaky bladder. Just needs a coup de grace.
Fine. I'll do the deed.
Can you see the light?
Oi, Vavrenek. This lady's gonna make your rump a regular crocus garden.
Aye. Queen's doing us a great service. One that'll profit us both.
So, where is Keltulus's lair?
North of here. It's a vast cavern. Ye canna miss it.
Meve bid farewell to Vavrenek and set out on her way. Did her way lead to the dragon's lair, you ask? Shh. Let's not spoil the surprise.
That stings.
Meve squinted, the better to see the scene. Several dozen dwarves had gathered on the cliff overlooking the chasm. All were turned towards a ramp, at the peak of which stood a barrel.
What is that gathering about?
Asked the queen.
Have we a feast day?
Nay,
answered Gabor grimly.
'Tis an execution.
A hairy head peeked out of the barrel. The long, pointy nose and ears left no doubt that it belonged to a gnome. The first Meve had ever seen in her life.
Help! Save me!
The gnome yelled.
They aim to kill me! Cast me in the chasm!
Shut your maw!
Barked the dwarf standing next to him, who then shoved the gnome inside the barrel and covered it with a lid.
Your crimes! The sheer weight of him, hey? No lighter punishment is fitting.
The other gathered dwarves nodded approvingly. Two gripped the barrel, lay it on its side, then lifted it to cast in the chasm, paying the thumping from inside it no heed. Meve leapt from her horse, and ignoring Gabor's objections, scrambled up the...
Oi! You're not allowed! Hey, damn it! What do you think you're doing?
I think it's obvious. Preventing the execution.
Thanks be to the gods!
Whoa, wench, you've no such right. Judgment's been handed down.
Yes, and a cruel sentence it is. One that prompts me to wonder what the accused did to deserve it.
Better to ask what he didn't do, the varmint. Arrived here with his peddler's wagon full of tricks and gadgets. Went from house to house, praised his rubbish to the high heavens, and what's it he sold us? Bombs that go off in your hand. Beard growth formula that makes your hair catch fire. Music boxes for the kiddies. Once cranked, they never plough in stop.
You needed but to loosen the screw in the back and...
Shut your maw, ye roaster. Doesn't it matter all that? 'Cause we'd have forgiven it if he hadn't broken our sacred rules and hallowed customs.
Which ones, if you don't mind me asking?
Enter the smithy, cap on his head, held nails between his teeth, and poured fruit syrup in his beer. Raspberry. Blech.
Just the once, and but a few drops.
You got nothing to explain your villainy, scoundrel. Not a thing. And that's not even the worst. In.
Oh, aye, that's bad. Shouldn't have done that.
Hi, he did. Whistled. Through his teeth. And hummed in harmony, a long warble. We all heard it up and down the shaft, and our grand elders were clear. Death's the punishment. Death by barrel roll.
Your land, your laws, I shall not argue with them. But perhaps there is another way. Can a bail be posted?
Well, the law does allow for something of the sort. But I didn't see how that...
Oh, aye. He is. He is.
Willing I am to take him at his word. Does that suffice?
Aye. But just so's we're clear. No returns, no refunds. Now get the hell out of that barrel. you wee shite.
My lady, I haven't a way to thank you.
That we've yet to discuss. Perhaps first we should learn each other's names?
Aye, yes, of course. What a prat of me. Barnabas. Barnabas Beckenbauer. To friends, Bibi.
Meave. Queen of Lyria and Rivia.
Queen? Cows in the corn, call me honoured. Your Majesty, obeisance due.
None necessary. Protocols for use at court, not beyond it. Fiery bursts in the palm of your hand. They shall be in fashion one day, to your mind.
Oh!
The details I need not know. But one matter I am curious about. Could you construct a bomb that would explode when desired? For instance, beneath my foe's feet as they stepped over it.
Of course I can. It's simple.
Why then? You wish to show your gratitude? You must join my ranks. Assist me to defeat Nilfgaard.
Defeat Nilfgaard? Pure...
And thus, for the first time in Lyrian annals, a gnome enlisted with the army. And though Barnabas Beckenbauer was diminutive of body, this new recruit would prove his worth on more than one occasion.
You change your mind, lass, let me know, eh? Got the barrel ready and waiting.
Every year more monsters.
A blizzard's blowing in. Your Grace, perhaps we'd best pitch camp and wait for clear weather.
Tain't a bad idea. Said we might be waiting a week.
Then we march on. We've no time to waste. While we ride to and fro begging aid, Nilfgaard grows in power. We must obtain reinforcements.
Meave rode on in silence, endeavoring to work out the length of her exile thus far. A scout's call tore her from her reverie.
Your Grace! You must see this!
With a grave mien, the soldier indicated a track in the snow. The hobnail boot print was all too familiar. Meave had seen it before, upon Lyria's sandy tracks, and midst the ashes to which Edern had been turned.
Nilfgaardian footmen,
seethed Meave.
Marched through of late.
Interrupted Gascon.
A day, perhaps 2 days past.
The scouts had learned a Nilfgaardian caravan with an armed escort had recently arrived in Mahka. The invaders had brought with them chests brimming with gold and jewels, then exchanged these for the finest Mahakaman-forged swords and spears. A scout gave me one of the coins the Blackclads had used for payment. Upon the coin's back, the Lyrian eagle.
They pay with gold from my vault.
The Queen said through gritted teeth.
For arms that will cut down my fighting men and subjects.
We might yet pursue and hunt them down,
said Reynard, a spark in his eye.
And make certain Eddahi never lays hands on those weapons.
You might, I can.
Piped up Gabor, who had been listening to their exchange.
But you might also recall, we Mahakamans are neutrals who assure all guests within our borders safety. True, formally speaking, the Nilfgaardians have passed outside them, but attack them a stone's throw from our gates, and you'll see Brewer's rage come out his ears as steam, and it...
Gabor, forgive me,
said the Queen.
This caravan we must attack. I must stop the Nilfgaardians. And entirely apart, I should be quite content to watch Brewer spew fire.
Gabor's mouth. Crushed by their defeat, the Nilfgaardians tossed the chests into the snow lining the road and rode off with a cracking of their whips. One chest burst open, revealing a weapon wrapped in greased leather. Gascon removed the leather and held aloft a sihil that shone with newly forged luster. He examined it from all sides, then put his thumb to its blade. Blood immediately squirted out.
Ooh! Sharp bastard,
he said, clearly impressed. Hearing these words, Gabor unexpectedly burst out laughing.
What's got you so tickled, if you don't mind my asking?
Custom holes! The first words out a warrior's mouth upon seeing a sill become the blade's name. So, congrats! You've dubbed it!
Gascon stood there awkwardly as Meve took the weapon from him.
I'd have chosen a different name personally, one with a bit more dignity. But Sharp Bastard has an undeniable charm. And I cannot wait to try it out on Nilfgaardian plate.
Aye, but perhaps nae in Mahakam.
Gabor interjected.
You've made a fine enough mess for yourselves as is. Gonna need to amend for it somehow. And that'll nae be easy.
Tidings of Meve's deeds soon reached Bruver Hoog's meaty ears. And though there was no fire, despite Gabor's insistence to the contrary, there was also no doubt the Elder-in-Chief was livid. Only the Zigrin's intercession on their behalf kept the Lyrians from being thrown out of the mountains.
We shan't pass this way.
Oh, Raynard, whatever would we do without you? Plummet off the cliff like lemmings, no doubt.
Meve squinted and gazed off into the distance. It seemed to her that hundreds of black patches covered the peaks on the horizon. Once she had ridden up closer, she realized these were the windows of homes carved out of solid rock.
Our pride this was,
sighed Gabor.
Burra's Rump. A city carved out of mountain rock. Hundreds of miles of tunnels, dozens of steelworks, smithies and forges. Now, it's a vast lair to monsters. They ooze from underground, weave their nests, hatch their young, and when hunger hits them in the gut, they prowl down into the pass.
Meve stood at the entrance to the underground city. The monumental gate, cast in bronze, lay on the ground, folded multiple times as a scroll of paper. Out of blackened windows oozed a stench of rotting meat and mold. The Queen bent an ear to hear water dripping, and, in the distance, a metallic scraping. A sound akin to chitinous scales rubbing against rock.
The soldiers await your order, your grace,
said Reynard quietly, as if he feared he would wake the beasts asleep in the caverns.
Do you recall my words as we fled Lyria?
Said Meve, turning to Reynard.
You swore you would retake your crown, even if you had to penetrate hell to do so.
Time to follow that oath.
The Queen inhaled deeply and stepped forward, her sword raised and prepared to strike or parry.
Oh, this stench is foul.
Though wounded, Meve approached the Shaelmar, which lay writhing on the ground. She then ran her sword through its heart, finishing it. Yet so spent was she that she lacked the strength to pull her blade from between the plates of the chitinous armor.
The beast near took me.
She whispered.
It was very close.
The Lyrians reached a vast hall that had once served the clans as their meeting room. The stone benches were covered in sticky slime and insectoid eggs, while bats of varying size hung from the crystal chandeliers. Gascon rummaged through old, weathered bones, surely hoping to find something of value. Gabor, in turn, was at a shut and locked door, grappling with it as if it were a deadly beast. The door finally gave way with a sigh, and the dwarf raised his arms in a triumphant gesture.
It's a storeroom. Should hold miners' tools aplenty,
he said, enthused.
Some barrels of alchemical brews in here too. Lucky there's no sign of moisture. They haven't soaked through. Alls we've got to do is roll them out into the corridor and set a bit of fire to them. And whoomph!
we'll have sealed the beasts off from the pass once and for all.
Meave treated the dwarves' instructions as hallowed. Soon after, the mountains trembled from a powerful explosion. Rubble came down and blocked the tunnels. They say the plumes of smoke escaping the window openings in the rock could be seen as far as Aldersburg.